Hello, and welcome to the Global DIY Network and the first of my interviews with the CEOs of the leading home improvement companies from around the world. My name is John Herbert, and I'm the General Secretary of EDRA, the European DIY Retail Association, and of GIN, the Global Home Improvement Network. I would also like to now welcome all our members from all over the world. It's 5 o'clock in Peru and it's 11 o'clock in New Zealand. For all those people following us today, welcome to and thank you for joining us. I would also like to welcome the members of our partner association, the HEMA. It is formerly FEDEMA, the Federation of the European Manufacturers, but it is now simply HEMA, Home Improvement Manufacturers Association, as I said, with global members. I would also like to welcome the delegates and the sponsors for our next Global DIY Summit to be held in Copenhagen in June next year. Altogether, we have 600 people have registered for this event. And now it is with a great honor that we come to our first interview partner. It is Mr. Sergio Giroldi, who is the Group CEO of OBI. OBI operates 670 stores in 10 countries, has 45,000 associates, and the sales are approximately 8 billion. Mr. Giroldi is also the president of EDRA GIN and has been since 2016. But before I pass you over to the president to say words of welcome, we heard the shock news only 10 minutes ago, that Mr. Giroldi has been diagnosed with COVID-19. He found this out yesterday evening at 6 o'clock, and we were going to record this from the office, but of course he is now in his home. So let us hope that Mr. Giroldi has a speedy recovery, and I now pass you over to Mr. Giroldi to say a few words of welcome to our members.
Thank you, John. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you, dear colleagues who are joining this today's meeting, which is one of the numerous meetings that EDRA, GIN, the European and Global DIY organization, have organized during this pandemic time to continue, at the end of the day, playing their own role. Their own role being keep connecting people and companies, role meaning facilitating the exchange of information and the learning one from each other. I personally really benefit out of talking to some of the colleagues during the various working group that EDRA and GIN were organizing. And at the end of the day, even more important than that, representing the interest of the branch to regulators and governments in the best interest of the company, of the associate company, but as well of the customer. I will never stop to thank all the team of EDRA and GIN for the incredible amount of effort they put in organizing all these kind of activities to make not only these get-together possible, but all the sequence of meetings that we had in the last 6 months. Special thanks, let me give to John W. Herbert. A real pleasure working with you with these difficult times. Thank you, and I hope I will do my best today, but please understand that COVID-19 is beside me.
Yes, I suppose this meeting now has got a totally different meaning, having heard the news from you. But so obviously the first question is, you are operating in 11 countries with 670 stores. How have you managed your business in these COVID-19 difficult times?
Well, to be honest, we have, we operate in 11 countries within Europe, and Europe, at the end of the day, was not able to reach a common plan. Is right or wrong? This is the question to which we were not able to give an answer during springtime and still today. At the end of the day, I start to believe that in reality, each regions, not only each country, need a special plan. And therefore, for us, it was really in spring this year a real mess, because some countries were completely closed, some countries were partly closed, some of them they were partly closed and they reopened. In some countries we had restriction in opening hours. In some other countries, few people were allowed to enter the store. And some countries they were limiting the assortment that could be sold to the store. So in reality, it was not an easy period, but luckily we came across without many damage and concern.
It has been said that the people, the consumers, have really discovered their home in these COVID-19 times. They've been restricted to home, they couldn't go to theatres, they couldn't go to sporting events, and that the home improvement sales have been very good. What has it been like at OBI, sort of from the beginning of the pandemic to now? Have you suffered with loss of sales because of the odd closure, or has it been made up by the sort of mini boom we've been having in home improvement sales?
Well, to be honest, I believe that with few exceptions, I believe and I hope, around these, not around this table, we have to say, but around this screen, not many companies are complaining about sales development during the spring COVID time. And to be in total honesty, we are one of them. I think that everybody was realizing sales significantly better than 2019, and in most of the cases also significantly better than any budget, with, in this case, a double positive impact from a financial standpoint. One is that each one had the opportunity to generate extra profit, besides from extra sales, to be invested on the future, in order to make a stationary DIY retailer even more resilient than in the past, not only to the COVID, but also to the attack we have from other business models. And it was also clearly proven that after food, home is considered by people all over the world, I would say, an essential part of their quality of life, and the DIY stationary modern retailer are the preferred options to make that possible. Of course, I'm not hiding that e-com already also had a kind of boosting or multiple sales. But if you look now, they are step by step going back to a decent growth, but nothing more than a decent growth. And this proves again that, from my point of view, DIY stationary retailer is in people's mind and is also in people's interest for many reasons.
Yes, I think one of the biggest achievements we've had at EDRA is that our Director of European Affairs, we managed to persuade the people who make the decisions that home improvement is essential retail. And I think this has been a great benefit to us all. But going forward, I heard that after the pandemic, the stores that were open, or after the stores opened again, the sales were up about as much as over 20%. And certainly in the US, over 20%, in Australia, very, very good. And generally, they've leveled a little bit off. They're still in double-digit figures. So how do you see it going forward now? Because now we've got the global pandemic, particularly in Europe, coming roaring back again with Germany. Yesterday had 50% increase in the number of infections. So, you know, how do you see this going forward for the home improvement industry?
Difficult to predict in this very moment. Of course, I have my own idea. I have my own mind. I am convinced that the pandemic, at the end of the day, as it was proven in the first part of the year, and this is somehow proven still today, when the rate of infection growth is comparable to the rate of sales growth that we have into our store in all countries, without one single exception. It proved that the pandemic, in reality, for many reasons, we were discussing in the last couple of months, the people, they stay at home, people, start reconsidering values. People, they are considering what quality of life has to be for the future, and so on and so forth. They are not, as I said, moving outside. The pandemic is not in reality negatively impacting on our business, or if you want, not nice to say, but the other way around.
Yeah, I did hit, yeah.
What could really impact our business in the future is the economic downturn. I was reading yesterday a German newspaper where it was clearly announcing that Germany, so Germany is the strongest economy in Europe, is on a slippery path to recession. And as you can imagine, if Germany gets into a recession, all other countries will suffer even more. And therefore, the real question mark for me, how people will react starting from Jan or spring next year, when they will be short of money because of a lot of unemployment and so on and so forth, how they will react and how they will change their shopping behavior also in our branch.
Indeed, and we now have October, and people like yourself and CEOs from all around the world are now planning for next year. This must be a very, very difficult thing to plan to, and I think from that point of view, many people will keep the status quo as it is, as long as the sales are being buoyant, and then take it from there after it comes. But it must be very difficult to plan your budget for next year.
Yeah.
So what about this surge? I heard from the director of the German Home Improvement Association that sales are up about almost 16% from the beginning of the year. So since the pandemic, they've been even higher. And so what about the products? Have you had any problem in getting the products into the store?
Well, not really. Of course, we had some shortage into our store, but this was not really a big issue for us. I believe that on this point, it's time to a bit reconsider, and this is a clear message that I dropped to the colleagues. We might then reconsider how we source our product. Most probably due to a different understanding of a customer, where they are more going for sustainability. They have an higher interest on environment. Is most probably time to look for a closer way to shop, meaning to count more on the local producer, local of course, talking about continent, and not to source anymore to markets which are too far away. At least at OBI, we are working on that and trying to move step by step into this direction, promoting our European or not that far away sourcing opportunities.
Is it right that during this pandemic that the customer traffic has remained the same, but the people are spending more, or is the traffic higher generally?
Well, in total honesty, in our store, our traffic was even lower because of our decision and our clear safety plan. We let less people entering into our store all over Europe. We applied the same criteria everywhere because, as you know, one of the basic value of OBI is people first. Mm-hmm. And our clear interest is, of course, to make business, but is also to protect people, whether they are our own associate or our customer or our business partner, doesn't matter. We need first to take care of people. So in reality, we had less people, less frequency into our store because of our own decision. But at the same time, I have to say that the size of the wallet of the persons were much higher, and therefore we are in line with the growth that you were somehow mentioning before. Almost in all countries, apart from, of course, countries like Italy and Russia, which were suffering much more because of this pandemic.
Yeah, I think my opinion on seeing the home centres, I think they've been exemplary in their safety measures and the way they've protected their staff during this pandemic. What about the staff themselves? Have you any difficulty? I mean, people who've got maybe ill parents at home don't feel they can't go to work, the risk is too high. But I find the attitude has been very good. How have you found it with your team?
Not a single one. We never were experiencing somebody not coming to the store or not coming to the headquarters. Never, not a single one. And to be honest, also because of our safety measure, we were able to protect. We had really very few cases in the first wave of the pandemic of people infected into our store, and none within our headquarters, where, by the way, we are still running at a 35% of total employees coming to the office, all the rest being in smart work. Of course, we have developed and we are permanently developing the plan how to avoid a kind of infection among our employees. Therefore, we divided in teams. They are the orange and the yellow team. They cannot come together for which are the priority functions that we need absolutely to have up and running into our headquarters, and so on and so forth. But I think that everybody, unfortunately, sorry, now the situation now is rapidly changing. The situation now is rapidly changing all over Europe. Not talking about Spain, not talking about France, UK, Italy following, but now I see that also in Germany, for instance, the situation is rapidly deteriorating, and there are much more infected people into the store, into the headquarters, despite being represented then by Czech Republic and Russia, where the infection rate is higher than in all other countries. I think that now, and we are doing that, we need even to update our plan in order even to module better our action to prevent people from being infected. Just for sake of clarity, I was not infected into the office, I was infected somewhere else.
Okay. So the home office, is it 35% of the people working at the moment in the offices in Wermelskirchen?
Absolutely. At the beginning, we were planning now to increase up to 50%, but then to this upcoming ratio increase, we decided to stop, and we say with 35, but with a clear rule how to protect people.
And the other people, they're all working from home now, or are some people
they are
being
working
laid
from
off?
home? Of course, my point of view is not ideal. I believe that our business is a business done by people, for people. And in order to take care of business people, they have to meet each other. They have to work as a team. They have to build up together solutions and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, as I said, people first, and therefore people healthy is a clear priority for us.
Yeah. The general thought is that the people after the pandemic, a lot of people will still be wanting to work from home. But the way you've just answered the question now, you don't see that within a retail environment.
We have even people asking to come to the headquarters. We have to prevent them from pushing too much because, as I said, no, it's not our case. Our people, I think that within our company, we have a level of motivation at the highest level. Therefore, this is not the case. I know that in some other cases, people, they are reluctant. But, people, they are reluctant because they are afraid, because in reality, they don't see a solution and they do not see a plan. And in reality, they don't see a plan because nobody knows how to plan a solution, meaning that this pandemic will continue hitting for a while because it's very difficult to to solve the problem, to solve the issue.
OBI is really recognized very much for its service and for its excellent garden department. But how do you see things going forward when it comes to the shop opening hours have remained the same, I suppose? Is there any change in the shop opening hours? No.
Yeah, absolutely. The shopping, they will remain the same, apart from different country regulation, but we will continue running the same opening hours. Yeah. And just to give you an answer to a question you did not ask, I also strongly believe that not only opening hour, but number of physical stores will eventually, at least in our business, increase and not being reduced in the future. We strongly believe, I personally strongly believe in stationary DIY modern retailing. I do believe that they have, and they will continue having a role recognized by customer also in the future. Of course, we need to develop our business model. Of course, we need to make our business model more technologically supported, which does not mean running an e-com business, but it means use technology in order to increase the level of service within our store, to increase the quality of our products, to increase the innovation within our store, to increase the level of service of our people to the customers, and to stay in permanent contact with the customer. But I strongly believe that stationary DIY modern retailing will continue to exist. Of course, there will be an erosion of market share coming from pure online players, but I think that this will be solved by the market, by the normal market cycle, by reducing number of, by consolidation, which, by the way, has already happened, is still already happening within DIY big boxes. But if you look now, it's also happening in pure e-com players. They are already either vanishing or merging.
Yeah, I was a little surprised with this answer from yourself, that you think that the stores going forward, that the bricks and mortar store will be needed as much as they are in the future. And I know Craig Manier, the group CEO of the Home Depot, the president and chairman of Home Depot, they've got 2,190 stores. And he said the same thing. He reckons that the bricks and mortar stores will become even more important in the future as a fulfillment center, and he's very, very positive about it. But now
I cannot agree more with Craig. I'm fully convinced that he's right, and to be honest, I'm also fully convinced that I'm right. And I'm really. So you remember we were talking yesterday, and you were saying you are running 668 stores. And I told John we are running 670 stores because we just opened 2 new stores. Yeah. And this is a proven proof, or a clear proof, if you want, that OBI pretends to be one of the leading DIY stationary retailers, strongly technologically support, but nevertheless stationary retailer in the future in Europe.
I know you've invested a lot of money and a lot of time in your e-commerce, and the sales, online sales have become stronger. Yeah. I did read that one company is almost up to 20% of their total sales of online sales, and it is still increasing. Have you also had this boom on online sales as well? Have they also contributed to your sales plus?
Well, let me just play a small joke. I know that between an Italian and a British, it can work. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
Meaning that we have also observed a dramatic growth in our e-com sales. But this is also part of our transformation process. Of course, we need to have, beside our stationary business, an e-com platform. But you will realize that in the coming even months, our e-com platform will be more and more looking like a strong support for our stationary business. Mm-hmm. You cannot run successfully both. Mm-hmm. We want to be, and we are implementing a plan to become even a stronger DIY stationery retailer in Europe. As I said, strongly technologically and digitally supported, but targeting clearly DIY stationery business model.
So really promoting click and collect, people, you're really promoting click and collect and really promoting these online sales through people
Absolutely.
coming to
I
the
don't know
store.
whether you have seen by chance the video that the short video that we sent you.
Yes, I did, of course.
During the pandemic, we have created in a few stores a specific area for click and collect.
Yeah.
And these step by step will be extended to all our stores. This is a part of what I was just mentioning, our transformation, if you want, from being a strongly supported digital and technological stationery business, because I believe that click and collect has proven to be a viable offer for a stationery retailer. There is nothing from a customer point of view which is more convenient and as inexpensive. So convenient and inexpensive. So I think that it could become a relevant part of our stationery business.
So how have you changed that to what it was prior? You just give it more space, or have you changed the
Giving
location?
a specific space within each store in order to have people not forced to enter even to a store, but just pick up what they order and go home.
Do you see curbside collection coming to Germany, where people can ring up, order the goods, come to a certain time, don't even have to come into the store? Do you see that coming to Germany too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this would also, and this, for instance, just to share with the colleagues, it was coming from a video conference we had with our Australian colleague. We might even consider to have some picking points outside of our store in convenient region for customers.
Really, in a separate location?
Yeah, this is still part of a plan, not finally decided, but this could eventually become a part of our business model. So I strongly believe into the click and collect business model integrated within the general stationery retailer.
But would you agree with my theory that I think that the home improvement sales on online, home improvement stores online sales have increased, first of all, because of the pandemic. But I think there is an increasing recognition that by going to a home improvement store for your goods online, you can really guarantee you're going to buy a quality, safe product at a reasonable price. Well, there's been so many disappointments online. Would you agree with that?
I fully agree, but I would even add something on top. Not pretending to be right, but this is my way of thinking. Human being, at a certain point, they need a human being. Yeah. They need to talk to somebody. They need to interact. They need to be supported. They need to be informed. And the way they still like is very much the personal contact. As I repeat every time, our business is a business done by people for people. Technologies can only help to make this link, this interaction, much more efficient, much more productive. And also having this interaction much more often. Like this video conference, we will not have the possibility to talk to each other today if not via technology. Indeed, but we are talking among human beings.
So these 670 stores, really, they're very good fulfillment centers for people ordering, collecting. They can go shopping, they can do click and collect, they can do and collect them. So really, this is something that Amazon, for example, can't do. You've got to be there at home when he comes or what have you. That these are great opportunities for the home improvement companies.
Yeah, I would not see it as a kind of answer to the Amazon business model. I think that this is just an internal evolution of DIY stationery retailer. I'm never ever considering Amazon as in reality my first line competitors. We are, of course, swimming within the same sea, but we, at a certain point in time, we have to decide which part is our part and which part is their part. And therefore, I would evolve our business model, but not taking too much into account what the pure online players do.
So have you really, I think a lot of home improvement companies have increased their deliveries. Have you done the same, or has it really been more click and collect?
Of course, we have been asked to increase sales delivery, but like I said before, this is not really what we are looking for. And therefore, with the idea is to incentivize people, as I said, to use click and collect, for instance, or any other form, which is somehow giving them the opportunity to come to a store and suddenly realize that they need something more.
Yeah. So really, during this pandemic, do you see the home improvement industry has won a lot of points with the consumer, that it's the image has been improved?
I think that the DIY industry has won a lot of points everywhere. Of course, from customer point of view, because it gives a clear answer to the change value chain. Homing, cocooning, safety are values becoming more important than before from one side, but on the other side, it was also sending a clear message to governments, regulators, that after food, people want to have a nice place where to take care of themselves. And this is homing. And we are the one offering this possibility. It's not clothing, it's not any other kind of, but it's first of all, homing.
I think during this pandemic, it has really been cemented that home improvement is essential retailing and throughout the world. And I know that what we did in Brussels with our Director of European Affairs to really get it home that we are essential retailing, this has also helped other people outside Europe who've had this information and who've also now become essential retailing. So I think this is fairly set in many countries now, that our industry is indeed essential retailing.
This is one, sorry for interrupting you, this is one more underlying the value of the associations. Yeah. This achievement could not be possible without such a critical mass as it has represented by the associations. Today, generally speaking, DIY retailing is respected, is seen as a basic need for people thanks to the activity, let's call it lobbying activity of the association in Brussels and via other associations all over the globe. I think that this was one of the most important achievements of the association in the last decade, I would say.
Yeah, so I think it's really, this has been a disaster, really, this for the whole world as this pandemic. But for our industry as such, it's, I think we've responded admirably to it. I always feel very safe. I can't imagine when I go to my local store, my local home improvement store, and I see the safety measures and all the discipline they're going. Then on a walk, on an evening, I go for a walk and see the pubs full of people as if there was not such a thing. It seems to me to be so unusual to see on the one side so much discipline and correctness and safety measures, and on the other side, it's just been thrown out the window when people are sitting in the pubs. But there we are. I suppose we can't answer that. But I also think that our industry does an awful lot. When I think about the integrity, when I say the meeting, the integrity towards the people who really our audience, to make sure that we've got no child labor, that they're safe as I often wonder if we communicate that well enough, just what the industry is doing to sell safe, good products as such. I just wonder if we sometimes concentrate too much on price and range and not really get the message over to the consumer, just what integrity and depth and thought goes into the products that we sell.
Yeah, if I can, so this is exactly what what I was saying before. I think that now is time for our associations to take the lead on other values which can be discussed within our organization and then brought to the attention of governments and regulators. Of course, we need to make profit because we need to invest on our future. But in order to guarantee a long-lasting success to our business, we need also to represent the values which are today part of people life, part of people culture. And therefore we need to start talking again within the association and to bring this point to the, as I said, to the regulators. We need to talk again about people. We need to talk again about values. We need to talk again about core beliefs. We need to talk again about sustainability. You remember that it was an issue 10, 15 years ago, not anymore today. We need to talk about environment protection, of course, in a business-like way, and we need to talk a bit about our own corporate social responsibility. So all points we were missing in the last decade, we were all busy in fighting to survive. But I think that this is one of the learning of the COVID-19 era. We now need to go back to a better mix between people and business.
Yeah, and I think it's changed. I attend a DIY platform with the young executives from all the leading companies in Europe. And when I see the integrity and the depth and the real thought and really genuinely do care, you know, it's a pleasure to see just what thoughts are going into this and how much it is different to my era when I was a CEO of a company. This was a byproduct, but not today. It's become a major issue that people really do care about the world we live in. Just for all the people following this interview today, if you have a question, you can send us a question. We have a question here. When will online be the first prevailing sales channel?
In our branch, you mean?
Yeah.
I assume. My feeling is that it will never ever be the prevailing chain for many reasons. Maybe that today we don't have enough time to go through. But first, as I said, because at the end of the day, people want to interact with people. They want then to interact with products they need. And on top of that, I think that environment, sustainability will then prevent pure e-com business being more efficient than stationary business in distributing vast majority of our assortment.
With your vast,
in a nutshell.
Yeah. So online sales, I did mention earlier that one company is reporting 19% of total sales online, and it is a very strong retail business without the online. Taking a broad brush guess, would you like to guess what do you reckon it will be in 5 to 10 years' time, the participation figures?
So I'm not hiding behind the finger. So I know that pure online DIY business is rapidly growing. But when it comes to our assortment, the assortment we have into our store, I do not believe that at the end of the day, they will overcome the 30-35% market share.
Yeah, I think that follows my thoughts as well. About 35, maybe. I don't think it'll ever get to 40%. I think people will recognize, as you said earlier, that people need to meet people, to greet people, to see people.
And they need to touch and feel. And they need. If you go back to our Congress in Berlin, John, and if you look to the chart I was presenting at that time, you see already at that time, this was the percentage I was indicated for DIY online sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The association, I think that really what we want to achieve at Edra is that we represent the home improvement industry. And I think the main aim of our organization is to improve the quality of home improvement retailing throughout the world, and also the awareness for major issues of the environment as well. And I think we're doing that. So coming back to the association as such, you're quite happy with the work, and you've already mentioned the values of what we're doing. So I think you already answered that question, but generally, you really feel there is a need for an association. I think the essential retailing would have been very difficult to get through by one individual company, whereas when you represent the whole company, it is better. Yeah.
I would say almost impossible. And I think that now the association, Eva and Jim, they have to put on the agenda of the next board meeting and all the participants, they have to put on the agenda this step ahead in the way we, the association, represent the companies, and they have to make 2 steps ahead in the agenda they want to run in representing the company. As I said, being more proactive in convincing regulators that we are an essential part of people's life.
Okay. Let me move to a very delightful subject, I think. I was walking through Cologne the other day, and I saw all these very young people shopping in your Create store. Yeah. This is a very innovative concept, and I took some visitors from overseas to your store, and they were fascinated by these little kits that you have for making things and things. How is that going, this store? What is the main purpose of having one store?
Well, I think that, you know, the store itself, as you have seen, is a very small store. We have used this store in order to test the concept. And after a while, as you have again seen, the concept has proven to be excellent, very good. Yeah. Concept, by the way, which was developed by OBI Next, because you know that within our company, in order to show the future to the younger generation, we have a company which is called OBI Next. They were developing this concept, and now, step by step, out of this smaller store, we are then building in all our stores in Germany, where it makes sense, a shopping shop, which is nothing more than a way to show to customers how they can interact with us, and how can they beautify their home, just, let's say, dealing with us. Is, I think, quite a way to stay in permanent contact with the customer.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. We've got, by the way, for all those people following this interview today, you can see a brilliant video, I think an excellent video of the OBI concept, which is about 7.5 minutes, that will be put on the DIY platform that you have now, which you're using to look at this interview. In the next hour, we'll be putting it on, so you can see the very good OBI concept on that. We have one more question, which I really don't like to ask, because I'll tell you. What are your thoughts about possible integration of DIY players with Amazon?
I would not rule it out, but if so, is a clear recognition that Amazon needs stationary players and not the other way around. And therefore, once more, is the proven proof that stationary retailing is and will stay essential from customer point of view. So this would be a clear recognition that pure online business in DIY retailing cannot serve a larger size of the business, more than the 30% we were discussing before.
Okay, so you're now one of the longest serving CEOs in the business. You've been there 18 years as Group CEO of OBI, and from what I could take from this interview today, you are very, very positive about the industry going forward.
Very positive about the industry. Let me say also very positive about OBI. I'm really happy that I have this longer service in Germany within the company. At a certain point in time, I will, of course, leave to somebody else the responsibility, but I'm really happy that today we were together able to bring OBI to the next generation of modern retailing, and that today we are 4 times bigger and 4 times more profitable than before.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. This has been the very first interview that I've done with the CEOs. I've enjoyed it very much, and I hope that all those people following this interviews have really derived benefit from this here. And we are going to have our next CEOs interview in 2 weeks' time on the 4th of November, and it's with Benedict Jager, who is the Group CEO of Cash Build in South America, who also operate in 7 other African countries. So I think on behalf of everybody here who has been following this interview today, we wish you, Sergio Giroldi, all the very best going forward after the shock news of you having coronavirus, that you have a speedy recovery, and we look forward to physically meeting you, particularly at the next DIY Global Summit, which, all being well, we'll be holding in Copenhagen. We're very optimistic by then that the situation will have improved. So thank you very much. And to all our viewers from all around the world, may I thank you for attending this interview today, and wish you a good day, a good evening, or a good night, wherever you may be. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.